Let's talk Katsu. Anime conventions have been a center and social experience for people who love anime and cosplay since the 90s, including a very popular, very famous, and very photogenic convention. In case you didn't know, I'm Ash Gray, and today we're going to be looking at Katsucon, a convention that just got done celebrating its 30th anniversary, so they must have gone all out with celebration, haven't they? Right? Well, let's take a look. Katsucon started as a small con in the Holiday Inn Executive in Virginia Beach in 1995, being one of the few conventions on the East Coast that catered to anime-centric culture in the 90s. They hosted a small number of people when they first began, but as time went on, they grew significantly, and by their third year had to look for a new home to hold the 1,000 attendees looking to make their way around Katsucon. And this year celebrates their 30th anniversary hosting Katsucon, growing significantly in numbers, ranging in the 20,000s. While it may not be the biggest anime convention to exist today, it certainly has retained a memorable and popular reputation. That is, at least until recent years. Now, being somebody who only started going to Katsu last year, I can't exactly speak on every single experience throughout the 30 years, especially since I wasn't born when it began. I can tell you most recent experiences, that is, from this year and a little bit of last year, at least as far as I know. First off, Katsucon. You may have already heard the name, as many attendees were sprayed down with gray water in the artist alley when a pipe burst. Many people had to be medically evaluated as the foul-smelling water affected many and weren't sure what kind of health problems it would cause. Gaylord was very quick to call the presses saying, "Silly little weebs, it wasn't sewage water, it was water from our dishes and our laundry, so it's fine." Well, we can't really blame them. Who could have known that pipe would have burst? Except, this pipe had been leaking the entire time before the sudden burst. It's unsure how long this pipe had been leaking, but certainly before Katsucon even began, with artists saying the pipe was leaking and smelling well before opening. It wasn't until it bursted that the Gaylord took action on this pipe, and by then, it was too late. Artists were covered in this disgusting smelling water, not to mention the merch they were selling. It's unsure if Katsucon has compensated those artists yet, but I'm hoping they do. It's only fair. Now, I personally didn't see the pipe burst, but I did see the aftermath of it. When I went into Artist Alley the next day, a big area was blocked off. Many artists had to reprint their prints from FedEx because all of their stuff was destroyed, and they couldn't really fix any other non-printable merch. This was something that could have been easily avoided, but unfortunately it seemed like Gaylord didn't take action until it was too late, leaving this on the back burner for far too long. Moving on from that, let's talk about the main reason most people attend Katsucon. Aesthetics. Now, Katsucon is a very standard anime convention. They have workshops, they have panels, they have guests, they have concerts and raves, and I even went to both that weekend and it was pretty cool. But most of all, people usually go because the Gaylord is beautiful. You'd be hard-pressed to find a cosplay influencer who hasn't taken a photo in the gazebo. Hell, even I have. This is generally a photocon. Many people are there for photo shoots or for filming because the Gaylord is big and spacious and beautiful. But it just seems like every year they get more and more strict about photo shoots and taking photos and filming, and basically anything influencer or cosplay or social media related. The entire place was scattered with no filming, no tripods, no sitting here, no standing here, no taking photos, blah 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 blah. There was a lot of rules, a lot of restrictions, which I get, but even the gazebo had a strict time restriction. Which, I get, gazebo's very popular, but I think we all had like maybe a minute to take photos in that thing, so if you wanted to do different poses, you had to be lightning quick. Not to mention, I think they underestimated a lot. Let's talk about cosplay meetups. I had such a great time hosting the Sonic meetup with one of my friends, Nim. We hosted it together. I was the screamer. She was the coordinator. But we had so many people in such a small space, and we only got 30 minutes. And it sucked because there's so many characters in Sonic, you know? There's so many. I mean, we only had 30 minutes, and it sucked because we had a lot of people who had different characters from just outside Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. I mean, we had Team Dark, we had people dressed from the comics, we had people dressed from spin-off games. It was crazy. And we had to rush through it until the very last second, where one of the staff members said, "Hey, your time is up. You gotta go. You have to leave now." And I have one person in a Big the Cat cosplay saying, "Can we do Team Rose, please? One more." And I was just like, "Oh, fine. Yes, absolutely." And so we had to rush that and then get the hell out of there. Which, sucked, but them's the breaks, I guess. But back to my point, Katsu and Gaylord seemed to get stricter and stricter with photo ops, which, sucks. We're cosplayers, we want to show off. And it just feels like there's less and less of a reason to go the stricter and stricter they get. I know that Katsucon is more than a photocon, it's more than a photo op, but it certainly is a heavy reason. I mean, it's called a lobby con for a reason. Most people usually just show up to the lobby in cosplay and don't really go to the panels or Artist Alley or anything else. They just come to socialize, hang out with other cosplayers, and get photos done. Also, it's not a bad thing to just show up to a convention for photos. I worked hard on this cosplay, goddammit! I'm gonna get photos! Another issue I and many other attendees encountered: what do you get when you give the wrong person an ounce of power? A power trip, which is what most of the staff at Katsucon was dealing at the entire weekend. I and many others agreed that Katsucon staff were a bit rude this year. I had staff screaming at the top of their lungs to keep it moving in Artist Alley, which I get, but I also don't need my eardrums shattered to keep it moving. I even got to talking to people about how miscommunication and rude staffers led to a lot of discomfort and unpleasantries for certain events. The concerts, raves, and video game areas ask you to have no bags in the room unless medically cleared. I get it, but those rules need to be established beforehand and not 10 minutes before the concert opens. I had gone to the Leeds Peak Monsters concert, which is a VK band, and I got in line about an hour before, and I had been walking around the entire day. And at that point, I only had a small purse with me. It wasn't until 10 minutes before that they said no bags at all, so I frantically called up my friends to see if they could come grab it from me, as I was already in line and didn't want to lose my place. Unfortunately, all of them left to go get dinner, so I was stuck. Luckily, the people behind me said they would hold my place in line as I got to go check my bag into the lockers. Now, this is a common problem I've experienced before with other anime conventions, but that doesn't make it okay. There needs to be clear communication between agency and staff members for the whole convention. I think that's a major problem with most conventions, by the way, because I don't think corporate ever talks to their staff members. It's unfair to everyone who has paid and funded this con to even happen. Speaking of miscommunication of staff, let's talk about VIP badges, because that was a mess. No, I didn't get a VIP badge, so I'm speaking from what I saw and heard secondhand. According to attendees who did obtain a VIP badge, they were told that this badge normally would allow first access to panels, Artist Alley, Dealer's Hall, and more. This was essentially the get to cut the line legally pass. However, this then changed to only being allowed first access to Live Room 1 and 30 minutes before opening of Artist Alley and Dealer's Den. According to attendees, this was changed a month before the con and was never cleared with current holders or even current buyers of the VIP badge. No one told them that there were changes, not even the website. Which, to be honest, I don't even think they've updated since 2010. People who held the VIP badges and complained got an email back saying the decision to remove the front of the line privileges at all rooms except Live 1 and main events was made during our midpoint meeting in September. Now, even if all of that's true, is it really fair to change in September when badges went on sale in June? That means there were people who already bought VIP badges by the time that decision was made, and was never relayed to them or people who were buying badges after that decision was made. But it's no excuse to not updating your website, your socials, your emails, everything. We rely so heavily on technology nowadays, and it's no longer an excuse as to why you can't properly communicate with your staff, your attendees, and your VIPs. This was just pure and proper management on Katsu's end. So, with all of that out of the way, let me tell you about my personal time there. It was nice. I got to see my friends. I got to hang out. I didn't party, because I'm not a party girl. I get overwhelmed easily, so I spent most of Saturday inside my hotel room, not dealing with the crowd. Bought a lot of pins. Love me a pin. I have so many pins. Can't stop, won't stop. Also, was it just me or was Dealer's Hall kind of scarce this year? Maybe it's just me and maybe I'm just like not super into figures anymore, but it seemed like everything was like the same. Also, my ribbons! Yay! I didn't get a lot. It's a good amount. I can't make a skirt out of it like most people do, because they collect so many, but I'm happy with them. Most of these I got from the Sonic meetup. They're all Sonic themed. This top one I made for the Sonic meetup. Slight note, because we're not done. This is a big con, and because this is a big con, it requires a big cleanup job. There's room parties, there's groups of 12 fitting into a sleeps 4 in a room, and it's going to get messy. Which is why it's important that staff can clean that whole mess. Brittany Griner, a WNBA star who is a lesbian, that's important, was staying at the Gaylord the day after Katsucon came to a close. With that, missed an important detail in the room she was staying in. Someone forgot to take the duct tape sign that said "Gay Baby Jail" off the wall. Griner saw this as an attack on her character and canceled her talk at the Woman Grow Leadership Summit that day. Now, I don't blame her, because if I had not known what was going on the night before, I would have also thought that was an attack on me for being a queer woman. I get it. I don't blame her. That being said, I don't think it was an attack, and I do think it was some weeb who put it up with housekeeping somehow fully missing it. And I'm not saying I fully blame the Gaylord staff, but I'm saying for about 300 a night, there should be some double checking with the room cleanliness, especially when you have an WNBA star here. However, I do think the Gaylord needs to get his shit together. From leaky pipes to missing a spot in a room, it really dwindles on the future of Katsucon. But it's irrelevant now that Katsucon is ended, and we will just have to wait till next year to see what changes are in place. Let me know what you guys think of Katsucon, whether you attended just this year or 30 years ago when it just started. I would love to hear everybody's experience of it and their horror stories or their best memories there. Let me know what other cons I should go to. I go to a lot of cons, and fun fact, I'm actually celebrating my 10th anniversary of con going this year, so it's going to be a big one. So give me con recommendations to go to. Anyway, I'm Ash Gray, and I'll see you later.